Yeah, big up family, big up everyone in the chat. It's with your boy Deji Spurs. It's got to be a first. We've done 3 shows back to back. Sunday we gave you 12 games in so far. Yesterday we gave you the blueprint, and tonight is a special show. Aston Villa v Spurs pre-match preview, and you're joined with my family, my cousin, who's representing his club, Villa, DT, Dalton in the building, and we've got Ben as well, who's going to be coming through, another Villa fan. Dalton, how you been? What's been happening?
Yes, Deji, how you doing? I'm well, thank you. I'm good. Feeling confident about Sunday. All good over here, thanks.
Mate, I don't know what you're feeling confident about. Clearly, you didn't watch the blueprint yesterday, because if you had watched the blueprint yesterday, I can tell you this, you wouldn't be shaking your bum violently in that seat that you're doing. So tonight, we're really going to break it down. Obviously, I don't give a damn about Aston Villa. I don't give a damn about Luis Diaz or Rodrigo Diaz or whatever his bloody name is, who's having a great season in your midfield. Now, that's jokes aside. Douglas Luiz has been on fire. Yep. So what we're going to do is we're going to break down. But the first thing I want to find out is, from an Aston Villa perspective, looking at Tottenham, would you make of Tottenham? Would you make of Ange Postecoglou?
So I think Anders had a good start. He's galvanized the boys. You guys seem to be moving all in one direction. Obviously, got rid of Conte and all of those other guys. Seems to be quite positive. I think you guys are playing quite entertaining football from the matches I've seen so far. But with anything, I think that honeymoon period has to come to an end. And I can see it honestly being this Sunday. I can see you guys getting another beating after that Chelsea smashing. So yeah.
Big up. And Ben has joined right on cue. Ben, welcome.
Thank you so much. I'm so sorry. I've just had a bit of chaos there trying to get in. But it's just a pleasure to be with you, Deji. Yeah, amazing. We're going to beat you. We're going to beat you.
Well, we'll see about that. And we're going to have an opportunity to kind of dive in. But the first question I wanted to ask you was, from an Aston Villa perspective, looking at Spurs, would you make of Spurs? Would you make of Ange Postecoglou?
I love Ange. I think he's incredible. I said it to you when you had him at the beginning of the season. I said he was going to be a don for you, and he has been. I think Spurs are terrific, but I think you come to play us at a particularly unfortunate time in terms of injuries, in terms of personnel. But I think he's a great manager. He's proven track record with Celtic everywhere he's been. I love everything that he's doing. I love the mentality. I think Spurs are fantastic, but I think you need a few signings in January, and then you really have had a chance this season. It's just unfortunate. Madison's the best signing of the year, maybe.
Yeah,
I reckon. I mean, you're great. You know I love you. But we're going to play you while we're in form, and we don't have the same injury problems you do. So I think we're probably, well, I don't know, it's your place, but I think
we're gonna get into that, Ben. We're gonna have an opportunity to get into that. But what I can see already, everyone in the chat, big up to everyone who's in the chat making comments already. AFC always is a Gooner fan, and he's already making his top 4 prediction. And how bloody rude, he's put Aston Villa to make it in the top 4 and get a Champions League spot. But you know what we're gonna, you know what, I'm not gonna lie. I've been impressed by Unai Emery. I thought Arsenal, AFC always. I thought your dusty club made a mistake in getting rid of Unai Emery when you did. You needed to give him time. This guy is a proven winner. We've seen what he's done with Sevilla. We saw what he done in Spain. And Arsenal, I think, made a mistake. And we are seeing the true colours of Unai. And you know what? One thing I will say, the way Arsenal dealt with it was poor. Okay? And he's had an opportunity to come back to the Prem, redeem himself with Aston Villa. And bloody hell, has he got you guys playing some excellent football.
Definitely.
I'm just happy that we've managed to jack a few people, maybe not players, but we jacked a few people from your scouting team to Tottenham. Do you get what I'm saying? And so
it's our leftovers.
If Lange was responsible for some of those players, then mate, I think it could be exciting times for Tottenham Hotspur. Just quickly though, before we get into the managers, Unai Emery, is he legit? Is he the real deal? Is he the person that's going to take Villa to the promised land? And I'm going to start with you, Ben, and then I'm going to ask DT.
All right. He's legit. 67% win ratio this season, 57.89% win ratio last season, bearing in mind that Steven Gerrard had a 32% win ratio with us. It's the best. It's the best win ratio of any Villa manager ever.
Yeah,
it is. It's the best Unai Emery win ratio apart from when he was at PSG and he had 71%. It's higher than his win ratio at Arsenal. He's legit. It's a complete transformation of a team. We've won 13 games on the bounce at home in the Premier League. We are the third highest scoring points team in the calendar year of 2023. I think he's legit. Like you can't argue with those stats and the way we're playing. The home form is incredible. We're maybe weak. Like if you take into account that we lost to Notts Forest away.
Yeah.
If we'd have got a result against Notts Forest, if we'd have beaten Notts Forest, we would be level on points with Man City at the top of the league. It's legit. I mean, away form, you've got to question it. But if we go without injuries, he's the real deal.
For real. So we may have title contenders or at least title challenges in Villa, and we'll get into that later tonight. Dotton, Ben, you've heard Ben, your fellow Villa supporter.
Yeah.
Are you in agreement, or is he shaking his bum a little bit early?
No. The stats are there to back it up. I think at this rate, if we carry on the way we are, why not? Why not top 4? Not even, maybe not for the for the league, but definitely I think we've got a good chance. I definitely think we've got a chance. There's
if Man City end up getting like tonked by the Premier League for their charges, then who knows? It's like up for grabs after that, isn't it?
Big time.
Yeah. But I think top 4, top 5, we're on, and it could be top 5 for Champions League this year anyway. So then that's probably the aim, right?
Yeah,
definitely the aim.
Okay. So we've heard it here. We've got 2 Villa fans shaking their bum. Already things are coming in the chat, and actually AFC always, he's a regular on the show, regular on the channel. He's already preempted the first question, which I wanted to ask, and the question is Postecoglou or Emery, who is the better manager in your opinion?
That's a bit of an obvious question, don't you?
I'm going to go with you, Dotton, since you started off. Yeah. And then it will be me, and then it will be Ben. Who is the better manager? And let's not do the easy thing here, where you're going to start shaking your bum violently for your club and your manager. You need to back this up with some info, my friend. Who is the better manager? Let's be real.
So if you're gonna talk about records and what they've done across the board, so we're talking about across Europe, in Spain, he's proven all across the board. So in terms of what he's been able to achieve, even with Arsenal, to have actually won stuff with Arsenal and still be, deemed a failure, as it were. You have to look at him, and you've got to respect what you've done. In terms of Ange, yeah, fine, he's kind of done well in Celtic, but who doesn't? So he's not. Ange isn't proven yet. He's had a good start, but we've had many of managers, come in, start off well, and kind of drop and fall off. So I think the real acid test for Ange is going to be in these next couple of games, because after you get a beating from us, you then got Man City after that. So you guys could be looking at a bit of a loss record of about 2 or 3 by in the next couple of weeks.
Okay, fair. Well, I mean, for me personally, what I don't like is people just being quite lazy with their comments about Ange Postecoglou. Yes, Unai Emery has won the Europa League, but I don't think he's ever won a domestic title. So he's been good in Europe with the Europa stuff, but I don't think did he win the league with PSG?
Yeah, who doesn't?
Okay, so he won the league. I mean, but let's be real. I could win the league with PSG, and even better, my mum could win the league with PSG. So that one doesn't really count. Whereas Postecoglou, he won the Scottish League, he won the Japanese League, he won the Australian League. Also, he's got Manager of the Month.
Steven Gerrard won the Scottish League.
This is it.
Well, he was also won the. But you know what? What I will say is, Unai Emery has been impressive coming into Villa, doing what he did. Let's be real. Under Gerrard, your team was dusty. In fact, I would go as far as to say that Aston Villa were a bunch of barbarians. I remember the game at Villa Park, the dirty challenges on Matt Doherty, knocked him out for the season. Matty Cash, disgusting player. Some of the guys you were doing, the higher tackles, the fouling, Tyro Mings, minging. Do you know what I mean? It was terrible, terrible stuff. And he's actually turned around and got you playing football. People who's been following me for some time, I've been calling Aston Villa and Newcastle since the beginning of last season. I actually called that you guys would finish above Arsenal. Instead, you guys finished above Spurs, meaning that I knew that Villa was coming and Newcastle was coming. But you have to admit that what Postecoglou, coming into the Prem, the best league in the world, doing what he's done, 12 games, 8 wins, 2 draws, 2 defeats. And really, the 2 defeats has come because, one, we went down to 9 men. And the second one is we bloody got an injuries list as long as my arm. Postecoglou is pretty impressive. I think it's hard to say that Unai is better than him, because I think he's managed to achieve more than Unai in a short period of time, and maybe arguably with inferior players, maybe.
If you look, stop
it. If you look at the 2 squads, maybe inferior players. But then I saw you nodding your head kind of in disagreement. What are you saying?
Who's going? I'll go. Right. Okay. So number one, it's not a chance that Ange has achieved more. He's taken over a team that has traditionally, over the last few years, been part of the perceived Sky top 6, big 6, right? You came off a terrible season last year, but let's make no bones about it. You weren't sat in 17th position when the manager came in, and weren't dragged into Europe in one season. I think you can't make a comparison between the two. Spurs have got the best stadium in the league. You've got all the backing there. You sell Harry Kane for over 100 million. You've got Heung-min Son, who's proven golden boot 2-3 seasons ago, whatever it is. I think you buy James Maddison, who is arguably the best playmaker in the league for the last few seasons outside of Kevin De Bruyne. You've got some shoddy players in the squad, but you've also just bought great defenders, and you're going to miss them for the next 2 months. That's all. I don't think you can talk it up too much, Deji, because it's a good situation to go into Spurs. I think Ange knew that.
Yeah, no, fair. No, he did. I mean, for him, I think it was a big opportunity for him to show his class. I just feel like maybe there's a lot of kind of European bias. We're not respecting managers of other leagues. But from what I'm seeing of him, yes, he managed in the Scottish League, but to come into the Prem and to take it by storm is no fluke. I mean, we were top of the league after 10 games. Let's be real. He's amassed more points in the first 10 games than any other Premier League manager, including Pep and Klopp. Mate, we got to put some respect on Postecoglou's name, don't you think, Ben?
I respect him. I totally respect him. I think he's brilliant. I don't think you can compare his overall track record over his career to Emery's success. Is the only thing. I
agree.
Okay, fairs. Big up to Arsenal Manic in the building. One of my favorites. Talking. He says one day I hope so, man. Thank you so much. He's calling out Sky Sports and TNT Sports. Thank you, my brother. Respect to you. Here today, another Arsenal fan saying, cheers, gentlemen. Unai, he reckons Unai is the third best manager in England. So
Jamie Carragher said it.
And Klopp probably. But yeah, definitely. Yeah, mate, Arsenal Manic, I'm definitely going to need to pick up that phone and go on that bloody TalkSport, because sometimes some of the people on there, i.e. Darren Bent, comes out with some bent things, and I might have to just take that brother on. Guys, can we just get a quick update in relation to any injuries, any suspensions for the weekend's game from Villa? Dotton.
So as far as I'm aware, the only main injuries that I'm aware of at the moment are Tyrone Mings, who's got obviously a long-term injury, and Emi Buendia. I think Jacob Ramsey should be on his way back, along with Alex Moreno, who are arguably two of our strongest performers last season, and we haven't been able to call on them. So, I can see Alex Moreno definitely getting a start. And causing some havoc down that left-hand side.
Yeah. Okay. Ben, any comments in relation to that? Sorry, we can't hear you, Ben.
I think I don't think Moreno will start just yet. I think he'll get eased back in, and I imagine that Emery will use him next week in Europe and start integrating the team back after quite a long injury that way. And Dean's been pretty solid for us as well this season. So I think it will be a pretty similar lineup to what we have seen. The only worry is that apparently John McGinn did get taken off towards the end of the game again in the Scotland game yesterday. So there is a minor concern that he might be out, and he's been in incredible form. So that would be a pretty big miss. But other than that, everything else has been said. I don't think Jacob Ramsey will be back just yet. And the long-term injuries are obviously a big loss.
Mate, I'm not wishing bad on any players, but if McGinn doesn't play this weekend, mate, I'm not gonna say I'm gonna miss him. AFC always is saying that Unai probably done the double at PSG. That's what Here Today is saying or reckons. The one thing I will say is that Tottenham's injuries at the moment and suspensions is a bit terrible. Awesome. I mean, there will be no Maddison for the game this weekend. There'll be no Van der Ven. Two of arguably our best players this season, Maddison and Van der Ven. I mean, if any team is missing such quality in their ranks, that it's going to drop. Romero is suspended. He's still suspended for this game, and he'll be suspended for the next game against Man City. We also have Richarlison, who's on the injury bed as well. He had to undergo an operation, so we won't be able to call upon him. We know we got long-term injuries in Solomon and Perisic, and the bloody list goes on. The only positive that we can take from this weekend's game is that we will have Udogie back, but Basuma picked up his 5th yellow card in the game against Wolves, so Basuma won't be playing either. So it's looking extremely techie. Before we discuss quickly your strengths and style of play, and then we're going to look at potential weaknesses and then predictions. A lot of Arsenal fans have been shaking their bum violently for Douglas Luiz. Now, for me personally, he's He's nothing to be shaking my bum about. I don't know what the fuss is all about with this brother. Yes, he scored 6 goals. But in recent time, I don't think he's scored. At least correct me if I'm wrong. All the goals were quite early on in the season. And then I don't think he's really banged in the back of the net recently. Is he a big game player? Should Spurs fans, I mean, there's a guy that I do a show with on a Sunday, Henry Wright Football. He's been banging on about Douglas Luiz all year. In fact, if I hear about Doug Luiz one more time, I'm probably going to eat my hat. It's that bad. But, as Villa fans, he plays for your team. Is he legit? Is he the big game player? Should he be playing for the so-called Big Six? And I throw that to you, Ben, first.
Right now he's playing for a top 6 team, and he's the absolute central linchpin for. He's the key to Emery's plan. Him and Kamara in the pivot with McGinn coming into form as well. But that double pivot of the two of them, everything goes through them, and he is as good a player as everybody thinks he is. He's a world-class midfielder. He can do everything. And I think he's going to Villa and
that's a good statement. World class.
He's world. He's going to be Brazil's central midfielder pretty solidly for the next 5-6 years. I would have thought.
Wow.
He's sensational. He can do everything. Pep wanted him at City. They couldn't get him because of the work permit situation, because of the way it's tiered for what you're using people in your squad for. So City sold him because they couldn't get the work permit for him, but we were able to because of the significance he'd play in our team. But if he's picked out by Man City at that stage in his career, they don't mess about, and we're reaping the rewards of it now. He's phenomenal, and Emery's system doesn't work without him and Kamara.
And what is he? Is he a number 6 or is he an 8?
No, he can do both. I mean, but I think he's something sort of different. But I guess maybe more of an 8 now. But he can sit and do it if he needs to. He's that rare breed of midfielder who can actually do pretty much everything, and he's so comfortable on the ball. He'll dribble past players, small spaces. He can take the ball. He can take it past 2-3 men easily. He can see a pass. His vision is incredible, and he can shoot. And he scores as well. And you say he doesn't score. He broke a record for scoring in consecutive home games that has stood for years. And scored six home games in a row.
Yeah, 6 games in a row. So would you say? I mean, because Arsenal fans will say, and I've got Arsenal Manic in the chat. We've got AFC always, and a few other Arsenals here today. Big up to Dodger Phillips in the building. Apples and gallstones, Deji. Big up to you. He says Ben is well informed and a stable commentator. This is all Dodger Phillips. He says, what can be the walking wounded do the job? Yeah, we'll get into that tonight. Would you say Douglas Luiz is better than Declan Rice? I've got Arsenal fans shaking their bum violently for this brother. Would you say who would you rather have in your midfield?
I personally would rather have Douglas Luiz.
Wow.
Seriously, I think he's that good. And I think Declan Rice, I mean, if you compare them for the prices anyway, if Declan Rice is going for what was it, 105 million? I can't remember.
Yeah, roughly.
Then we're going to make a lot of money if they want.
What a statement. DT, are you in agreement with Ben?
150 mil. That's what's on the table. We want Saka and we want Emil Smith-Rowe. That's it. If we're going to be ridiculous, we might as well go there. Emil Smith-Rowe, we went there for a while, but we'll take Starboy, and you can have him. He is that good. Okay, he's at the moment.
You take Emil Smith-Rowe because that's what Here Today is saying. Here Today is saying there's talk of Smith-Rowe for Douglas Luiz swap.
Yeah, and Saka. So we want two players.
So you want 2 for the price of 1, basically.
Yeah.
Okay, fairs.
So it's.
I don't see it happening. You know what these the so-called biggies are like. You know what I mean? They try to do things in their favor. So look, I haven't had an opportunity to watch a lot of Villa. What I have seen of Villa is you look good. That DRB, is it DRB the guy that's scoring goals? He seems mustard, pace. It seems to be able to find the back of the net. It looks like Ollie Watkins has turned a new leaf under this brother. Also, Matty Cash, arguably, probably Some are saying under Carl Walker. I did a show where we looked at the Premier League 11 and we said if not Carl Walker, it would have been Matty Cash at right back, the one Villa player that we were going to squeeze into the best Prem 11 so far this season. Please talk us through, DT. What is the Villa tactics, and where will you hurt Spurs? Where is your strengths coming from, and how are you going to hurt Tottenham Hotspur?
So I think we've got strengths all over, which is obvious.
Calm yourself down. These Villa fans are shaking their bum. I've never seen anything quite like it. We're strength everywhere, you know. Anyway, keep going.
The fact is that we've got pace all over the place. We've got pace all over the place. We've got DRB.
Who's the pace?
We've got DRB. We've got Watkins. You know, I think in terms of that midfield as well, we've got McGinn, who's holding up that ball against anyone. So in terms of hitting you guys from every angle, I think, you know, Digne is going to be putting in those balls. You've obviously got Matty Cash on the right hand side. So yeah, I think the high line is probably going to scupper a bit of Heung-min Son's.
So you play a high line as well.
Yeah, so it's going to be high. It's going to be high line against high line. We'll see who's got the biggest cojones, as it were, and.
Did we just lose?
You guys in your centre back, I can't remember what his name is, who you've lost. Yeah. That's going to be a key issue for you guys. I don't see much pace in that back line of yours, so I can see you guys definitely getting cut open and a couple of free balls from Douglas Luiz opening you up for maybe a 3-1 beating.
Okay, cool. Just before I bring you in, Ben, AFC always, Douglas Luiz is a massive no for me, but he would improve our midfield all over Jorginho. And 29, that's for sure. Villa, and then here today is saying, Villa are comfortable and don't need to sell. They will charge us a king's ransom for Douglas Luiz. And then we've got, this is a big game. If you beat Villa, that will be impressive, and vice versa. I agree. Arsenal Manic says, Una has transformed Villa to a very respectable team. He's done wonders there. We got JJ, big up the coys. Oi, oi, mate. AFC says that Declan Rice is levels above Douglas Luiz. And Ben, you're chatting out of your bum, basically, is what he's saying. I'm getting attacked here because Arsenal Man is saying, leave it out, stop causing trouble, leave our player's name out your conversation, leave out Rice's name. It ain't even me. It's the Arsenal fans saying they want Douglas Luiz. And I'm thinking, well, if you've got Declan Rice, why would you be talking about Douglas Luiz under the same breath? And AFC always is offering me Nkitty Catty for 65 mil. Ben, you've heard what DT's had to say. Are you in agreement with what he's saying? He's saying you've got pace everywhere. He's saying that McGinn's going to be threading balls. Matty Cash is going to be solid. Digne is going to be pumping balls. You've got Ollie Watkins, you've got DRB. Are you really the Spartans? Is there no weakness in this team?
I don't know if there isn't weakness, but we're pretty solid in the structures there. And Emery has us playing, whoever comes in understands the structure. And you know, all the players talk about the caliber of coach that he is and how it's transformed their work. And it's all about the work. The project is about the work, and the results are the result of the good work. That's what they're all talking about. They're all unified. We have got pace everywhere. We've got pace off the bench in Bailey as well, who's been outstanding coming on as an impact sub as well. But Traore has just scored 2 goals while he's been away with Burkina Faso. You know, he's a sort of people don't really remember Bert, but he's a bit of a cult hero at Villa, and also he does have pedigree when he comes, if he has to come on for 5-10 minutes at the end of the game. Zaniolo playing for Italy. We've got everywhere over the pitch. We've got internationals playing in top international teams. Pau Torres, centre back, playing for Spain. Ezri Konsa called up time too as well. He's imperious at the back. He's only been dribbled past once, I think, in the last 2 seasons, which is the same as Virgil van Dijk. Like he's incredibly underrated. Then if McGinn's fit, he's playing out of his skin at the moment. I think the high line is the issue for both teams. It's going to be that as has been mentioned, it's going to be two teams who play the highest lines in the league, along with Liverpool, perhaps. But it's about who's got the pass this weekend. And without Maddison, like, you're relying on Bentancur, potentially Gio Lo Celso coming in. Has he got it? I don't know. And I think that probably if we haven't even mentioned Tielemans, who last league game we played three and he played instead of Zaniolo as the sort of left as an attacking mid. And you think about the caliber of technique between him, Kamara and Luiz. If we control the midfield, then your high line looks ropey with Diaby and Watkins running in. I think with all respect, without Van der Ven, without Romero, I think if you're relying on Eric Dyer and Ben Davis or potentially Emerson coming in as a centre back, I'd say that this weekend, home advantage to you, but I think structure advantage to us.
Bomber crease. I was on the show with Arthur yesterday, Ben, and he was quietly confident. Him and Kieran were talking about the fact that they see Spurs. Look, for me, I think Tottenham's strengths has been the fact that every game, apart from the last two games, we've dominated possession. And if we're going to win the game against you guys on Saturday, then we have to dominate the ball. The issue Tottenham have is that in order to play that high line effectively, we do need Van der Ven. Having a pacey centre-back who's strong and can do everything, arguably one of the best centre-backs in the Prem.
I wouldn't go that far.
No, he's really. There's a reason why Spurs was top of the league after 10 games. It's because of him. And the reason why we've lost the 2 games is because Van der Ven ain't been there. I would go as far as to say his impact on Spurs is Van Dijk-like. Almost the same sort of impact that Van Dijk had on Liverpool. And the same with our keeper, Vicario. The thing is, we will have Brennan Johnson. Son is a little bit like Messi. You know what he's going to do, but can you really stop him? And the answer is 9 out of 10 times you can't really stop Son. The only person who stops Son is Son himself. He stops himself. If he's having a bad game, then he's having a bad game. But if Son is feeling it in his fingers and in his toes, then there's nothing your defense can do. I don't give a damn who you got there. And then we're going to play Kulusevski, the long distance runner, on the right-hand side. As for me, Pape Sarr's been sourcing. I think he's up there. People need to put some respect on him. You're talking about Douglas Luiz. People are talking about Declan Rice. I talk about my guy in Pape Sarr. What a player. What a player. We're going to miss Bissouma, though. I'm not going to lie to you. We're going to miss Madders. But Højbjerg has done a respectable job. And Bentancur is a madman. If you remember, Bentancur, before he got this long-term injury, was ripping up the league. He is world-class. That is one world-class player. And I'm hoping he does well for Uruguay tonight. And I'm hoping he brings that form into the game Saturday. Your doggy's back. I don't give a damn what you got on your right-hand side. There's nothing you can do. Nobody, no Villa player is coming near my guy, you doggy, yeah? So sit your butt down. Nobody. He had Saka in his pocket. He had Stella in his pocket. He will have Bailey in his pocket. He will have whoever you got on the right in his pocket. Toro has been doing a respectable job. But where it gets techie for me, I'm not going to lie to you, is Ben Davis and Eric diabolical expressions will say, I don't know. And that Wolves game did not make me feel happy. If we play a high line, Watkins and Diaby will be licking their lips. And that's where I see Tottenham's weakness. Our weakness is the centre-back. Everywhere else, I can see us popping you. About. I think we've got better technical players who... Because I don't think Villa's been controlling the game like Spurs have been controlling. I mean, we've had crazy possession stats. Have you guys had crazy possession stats? Yeah?
Yeah, I would definitely say so.
Okay, fairs. Well,
At home, in particular, really, really incredible possession stats. I've been at Villa Park for the last couple of games, three of the last games, and I've never seen us play that way. I've never experienced this. I think when we were playing Luton, in the first half, there was a point where it was like we were about 38 minutes in, and it was 86% possession to Villa or something. I mean, it's unbelievable at home in particular, and against weaker teams. It's going to be different against Spurs. But what's so interesting is that in certain ways, I mean, they're different structures and they're different forms, but that high line in particular, the desire to attack. What we have is patience, which I think Spurs is pretty much all out attack, right?
Yeah.
It's back to swashbuckling in a sense. Whereas
that's how we like it, baby. That's right. I wouldn't want it any other way.
I think we're more pragmatic to some extent under Emery. He likes to control the game, and they've talked about not letting teams know what we're good at, which is because we're good at quite a lot of things. But we can utilize it depending on who we play. So it will be interesting to see how Emery assesses Spurs' threat and whether he adjusts or what the game plan is when we play you. Because I'm sure, I mean, his analysis is always the thing that people talk about, the video work beforehand. And I expect we'll be trying to exploit those weaknesses that you've talked about.
Yeah. Fair enough. So, but if there were to be any weaknesses from an outsider looking in, I think your keeper looks a bit suspect, man. Martin.
Are you joking?
He's looking a bit wild west. I don't know, Doc. What would you say about Martinez? I think he looks a bit suspect. He got a bit of a crazy bone in him. I know Digne's had a good season, but you're sent. I mean, Pau Torres is slow. That is one thing. I liked him. Tottenham were linked with him for a couple of seasons, but one thing he's not is he's no Van de Ven. The guy is as slow as a slow coach, to be honest, and we might exploit him. So for me, I'm looking at Martinez being suspectish and Pau Torres. Would you say those are fair assessments? And you got to be not biased now. You're a Villa fan, but you got weaknesses somewhere.
So I think, honestly speaking, you're forgetting that this is a World Cup winner here. So let's put some respect on his name. This is a World Cup winner who's done some good stuff. I think he's been vital in a lot of games, making crucial saves. I think he's stepped up his ball playing abilities as well. So in terms of us being able to play out from the back, he's been crucial to that. His kicking's definitely getting better. So I definitely, in terms of shot stopping, I think he's better than Vicario. So you have to convince me otherwise.
Huh?
I do
better than Vicario. Are you mad? There's 100%. No way you're putting Martinez in the same under the same breath as Vicario.
What's the goal difference?
The best keeper in the league right now.
Who's got a better goal difference at the moment?
Goal difference is because we conceded 4 goals against bloody Chelsea when we had 9 men. Up until 10 games in, we had a better goal difference than you, mate.
Not at the moment.
Not at the moment, but we did. You're talking about Spurs when everything's all gone to pot. Prior to that, when things were all rosy, if Tottenham had their full team, you would not be coming on this. No
team ever has all of their top performers at one time. So that's part of life, isn't it? Man City could be crying about not having Kevin De Bruyne, but such is life. So you can't be complaining and crying that you haven't got your best players. That's why you got a squad. So if you guys aren't able to get all of your players on at the same time, it's just part of life. So suck it up.
AFC always says Arsenal man. Yeah, Arsenal man. I didn't see the typo, but big up to you. Thank you for apologizing for whatever it is. What's the point? FC is saying he's lost interest in the Prem. I would say, what's the point? Don't lose interest just yet. Postecoglou could have something up his sleeves for us Spurs fans. I believe in this man. I believe in this brother. Ben, you heard DT talk about Martinez being a better goalkeeper than Vicario. He's making some wild statements. DT, just in case you haven't realized, anything you say on this stream cannot be deleted.
That's
especially
fine.
Wild takes like that. So are you in agreement, Ben? Or
I was So you can't argue with the fact that Emi Martinez, has won the best keeper in the world award this year and has won a World Cup. But I will say this, that I actually do have reservations about Martinez. I mean, he's been fantastic for us, but I was surprised actually in the summer because I thought last season there seemed to be friction between Emery and Martinez. He didn't like some of Martinez's decision making. And I thought there was potentially going to be a scenario where we sold him for quite a lot of money and found an alternative that had similar stats, but for cheaper, perhaps even like go in for Raya, who's ended up in obviously this bizarre situation in Arsenal where they've got two top class keepers fighting it out for one position. But I kind of agree with you, Deji. I think Martinez has got an error in him. We saw it a couple of weeks ago. A poor. It wasn't a strong hands to stop it. Who was that against? Was it against Notts Forest? The second goal against Notts Forest. He has got a mistake in him, but he's also so vocal and so essential. And because we've now got that Spanish-speaking element running through the team, Spanish and Portuguese, like that Latin thing going on, it's quite useful having that voice to Torres, to Moreno when he's there. I think, for all of his antics, he is an incredible presence. I'm not sure if he's better than Vicario. I think Vicario looks like a fantastic signing, but I think they're both top keepers in their own way. The argument I would make about goal difference at the moment is the main thing is that we're the second highest scoring team in the league, only behind City, and you're playing us with a weakened defense. So it's not really about what the keepers are doing. I mean, Vicario is going to have to work, I imagine. But I would be worried if I were you. And regarding, like, if we were coming to this game and we were playing you with your full squad, with Maddison fit, with Van der Ven, with Romero, with Basuma in, I'd be going to Wayaha Lane pretty scared. I mean, I think you're top class with everyone. With your first 11, you're great. Yeah. But you aren't. And the situation this week is that you're coming to play us, not bare bones, but the equivalent of that in terms of your season so far. And I imagine Spurs fans are a bit concerned about it.
Mate, this has got to be one of the hardest pre-match previews I've done ever. Because I was saying on the show yesterday, me and Zeus had, we did the kind of next 4 games, and Tottenham's next 4 games is Villa, Man City, West Ham and Newcastle. And where Arthur and Kieran were predicting 7 points, they both think we can somehow get a win against you. I came out and said the only win I can see Spurs getting is Newcastle. And not because I think Tottenham is better than Newcastle. It's just that they've been ravished with injuries. That's worse than Spurs, to be honest with you, which will make it a bit of an even game. Apart from that, I actually have you guys to win 2-1 on the weekend, or potentially 2-0. Because I think that the drop-off in Ben Davis and Eric Dyer, your strikers, Ollie Watkins, DRB, are going to be licking their lips. You haven't really got any injuries. Bendoya hasn't been there pretty much all season. Jacob Ramsey, would he start even if he was fit? It's one of those ones. Whereas Maddison's arguably the best midfielder in the Prem, gone. Basuma, one of the best midfielders in the Prem, gone. Bloody Van der Ven, arguably one of the best defensive centre-backs in the Prem, gone. That's the heart. Romero, without his madman Manic, one of the best centre-backs in the Prem, gone. That's like 4 bloody players gone. The only thing is, Bentancur comes back. Højbjerg can do a job, but he's defensive. He's not attack-minded. Your doggy is good, but it's his first season up against... So, look, I'm not going to lie, and we're going to get into the predictions now. Let me just quickly go to the chat, and then we'll do predictions, and then we'll just kind of wrap up and hear what your expectations are for the season. Head to there says, look, he prefers Bentancur as a number 6 and Donnelly as an 8, as this way we'll have composure on the ball. But without Højbjerg and Skip, we will continue to lose. With them, we will continue to lose the ball. Yeah, and Højbjerg is going to be playing. That's the thing. We've got no one else to rely on. The Assembled is talking about the Havertz deal. The Assembled is saying, did you win the game with Saka in his pocket? Oh, come on, mate. The Assembled, mate. We went to your ground, had more ball possession, slapped you guys up. You guys were fortunate that we didn't slap you guys in the face. Sorry guys. Oh, did you Chelsea would have beaten Tottenham if they had 100 men? Bad argument there. It's good to. Oh, look, the chat is popping tonight. I can't even keep up. They just stopped the reverse psychology by predicting Villa to win. So basically, I did something last season called reverse judge, which basically meant that whatever I said, the reverse is what should happen. And I think some people are kind of sticking with the reverse judge. Thanks for reminding me about the judge. I'm really hoping the judge comes into play this bloody weekend. He said Tottenham are so depleted now that we're like a prostitute with no knickers on. We're going to get royally screwed. What is the point? How poignant. BT, I'm not going to lie. I shake my bum for my club. I love my club. I love Postecoglou. I love what we're doing. And Postecoglou has brought hope back to Tottenham Hotspur fans. Under the dusty football of Conte and Mourinho, we lost hope. Football was horrible. I was reverting to cricket. I was going to watch bloody Sussex, do you know what I mean, bowl balls because it was so poor. And then Postecoglou's got Tottenham spraying balls, playing football, attacking football, sourcing. And to be honest with you, 6 of Spurs players could arguably be in the best 11 of the season so far. 6 in terms of Vicario, Van der Ven, Basuma, Madders, Son. Come on, let's put some respect on these brothers' name. But I'm not gonna lie. I think with the amount of injuries we have, it's just too many injuries, just too far. And the fact that Aston Villa are coming with a full squad, I think you guys beat us last season 2-1 anyway at our ground. I can't see Spurs getting a point from this game. Legitly, I think Aston Villa will win and you guys will go marching on. You guys have already alluded to it, but I've gone for 2-1. I just want to hear from yourselves. BT, what are you saying? Is it a win? Your doggy is injured too. You're lying. What's the point? What is the point playing the bloody game if your doggy ain't there? We cannot have Emerson Royale playing left wing. That would be mad. Oh my days. So what's the point in saying your doggy ain't playing? No, the game's a write-off. We might as well not turn up and just give you, man, the 3 points.
3 points.
What's going to be the score this weekend?
So I think crucially, it might come down to who scores first in this game. Stats seem to be showing that whenever Villa go down first or go a goal down, we've kind of struggled away from home. Case in point, Nottingham Forest. But I think I'm going to stick my neck out and say 3-1.
Huh?
I'm going to say 3-1.
Man, shaking 3-1 on this show tonight has been
3-1.
You man have been shameless.
I feel like, I'm. Why not? Because at this moment in time, I think Watkins, obviously, the game he played recently, he's going to be wanting to show that he's, he wants to earn that European squad place. So he's definitely going to be up for it. So yeah, I'm saying we're going to take you guys to the cleaners with your high line. Diaby and Watkins to get in there, and maybe a Douglas Luiz penalty. You heard it here first.
3-1. You heard it here first. It's not financial advice, but DT is gone with a 3-1 win for Aston Villa. Ben, what are you saying, my bro?
I'm saying I think it will be 2-1 and tight, but a lot of that depends also on like they said Son. Well, he played against China today, didn't he?
2 goals.
Sure, but
he scored 2 goals.
He scored 2 goals, but a lot of it, I think, that's a long travel, isn't it? That's a really long travel back. So if he doesn't have somebody passing to him, I worried about it. If you had Lo Celso playing and actually he starts to play, I worried that Son generally does well against our high line. I've seen him beat it a lot, and I'm pretty sure you'll score.
Definitely.
So 2-1 if we are solid, but it could equally end up being a pretty
2-2.
Yeah, 2-2. But I think we'd take any result against going away to Spurs and bringing a point home would be a good result. But considering considering your injuries, I imagine Emery wants to make up for that Notts Forest defeat, and we'll be trying to get the win.
I mean, look, I'm getting trolled here by the assembled. He says, Deji, I don't want to hear about injuries. It's a squad game. And then we've got Arsenal Manic trolling me. Did you have Spurs as title contenders a few weeks ago? You said the table don't lie. The table don't lie. And have I said that Tottenham are title contenders? What I've said is I don't expect us to beat Villa this weekend because of the amount of injuries. And if you guys are trying to tell me that I should ignore the injuries and we should be playing a very good Villa team, that even with our full team, it would have been a good match, you, man, must be absolutely crazy. I like to see Arsenal without Martinelli, without Saka, without Partey, without Declan Rice, and without Saliba go and play Aston Villa at home and think you're going to get any points with your Nkiti Kati as your striker. Let's see if you're able to get a win there, mate. Let's see if you can get a bloody draw. You wouldn't. We can see with our eyes where the weakness is here, and you can see from the chest of these Villa fans that these men are expecting a win. Dodger Phillips is added into the equation. He's gone with a 2-1 Villa. Thank you. I will be laughing at all you man's faces, by the way, if Tottenham somehow get some crazy win. If Tottenham beat Villa, Postecoglou is a better tactician, because with the injuries that we have, if he can somehow muster a win, then I think that proves my point that Postecoglou is better than Unai Emery. Before we wrap up, guys, he's saying, Deji, what's this investigation into Dodgy Spurs? All right, we'll touch on that in just a moment. Before we wrap up, though, what are Villa's expectations for what would a good season look like? I was discussing it yesterday with the lads, and I talked about at the beginning of the season, I would have taken 8th. Bearing in mind that I expect you guys to do well, Newcastle to carry on, United to kick on, Chelsea under Pochettino to do well, Liverpool to be back, Arsenal to kick on, Man City to kick on. I would say if Tottenham finished 8th, but we were playing better football than the dusty football that we were playing under Conte, I would have been happy with that. With the good start that Tottenham's had, I think it would be a shame if we didn't get Champions League football. And we know that Champions League football is likely to include 5th this season. I don't know how 5th can play Champions League. I mean, it makes a mockery of the whole competition, but whatever, we'll take it. So I'm expecting Spurs to get Champions League football. And I think if we get Champions League, anything above that, i.e. an FA Cup, is a bonus. Villa fans, Unai Emery, the leaps that you guys have gone on, what would good look like for you guys? And because a lot of people are always talking down with Villa, they should be happy with Europa League. You should be happy with the Carabao Cup. You know me, Ben and DT, well enough to know I do not respect the Carabao Cup and I don't respect the Europa League. Are you, with the way your chest is pumped, have you joined us? Have you joined the big dogs? Have you joined us? Or are you happy with playing with the others in the league? And I'm going to start with you, DT, before I go to Ben.
So I think this season, winning something has got to be on a priority list. I think the UEFA Conference League has to be up there. West Ham did it last season. I think it's definitely a winnable competition for us. The way we've started, we've got the squad for it. I just have a feeling that it might affect our league performance come near the end of the season. So for me, I think winning something this season and top 6, top 7, and I'd be happy with that. Another campaign in Europe. Then, another couple of transfer windows for United to bring in a couple of people. He's been looking at a couple of sharpshooters. So if we can do that, then yeah, definitely maybe next season, Champions League. But for now, I think win a cup, get us into Europe again, and that's definitely a good season.
So Europa Conference League and a 6th place finish would be a respectable season for you, and Unai keeps his job and Villa go marching on.
Yep.
Fair. Okay, that seems fairly reasonable. I mean, it's not in line with the way your chest was pumping. Anthony Herbert.
I'm being realistic.
Anthony Herbert is a troll in the chat. Can we check backstage if this is a bot? He's saying it's Man City, Liverpool, Arsenal, Villa, Newcastle, then Tottenham in that order. So everyone is agreeing that people, the kind of other fans are showing a bit more chest than the Villa fans, and I'm trying to know. But
I'm being realistic with Europe on the cards. You know, it's a long season, and I think that will play into it. Unai does have that cup experience, and he knows how to juggle the two. I'm just kind of worried that, you know, if a couple of injuries come along to a couple of key players, if Arsenal keep kind of twerking for Douglas Luiz, then, you know, things could be really, really different come January. So yeah, that's where I'm coming from, really.
I think if Unai's got any self-respect for himself, he shouldn't sell any players to Arsenal. What he should be doing is trying to bring Arsenal down. Show them that he's the legit manager. Show them what they're missing. Show them that if Arsenal had given him 700 mil to spend on players, what he would have done. So if I was Unai, you should not be selling to Arsenal. And if you do want to sell Douglas Luiz, you can sell him to my club, Tottenham Hotspur. Ben, what does good look like for Villa this season?
What looks good is obviously winning something for the first time since a playoff trophy, but something serious. If we can win, if we can win the Conference League following West Ham's footsteps last season, that would be a major achievement for Villa at the moment, and it would, it would elevate Emery to even greater status in the club. But I think a good season would be finishing top 5. If we, the owners set out a 5-year plan when they took over back in end of in 2019. So the 5-year plan is nearly coming to a head in 2024. And they wanted to be in the Champions League at the end of that 5-year process. So whatever the club says, however Emery plays it down and says we're behind 6-7 teams, I think inside at Bodymore Heath and inside the club, the target will be Champions League football. And it's a season where there are 9-10 really good teams in the league. If you take into account, the 6 everyone's talking about, but
right.
Arsenal, Tottenham, Liverpool, Chelsea, Newcastle, Villa, Brighton, who are a bit off it but can still on their day beat anybody. Brentford looking decent. Newcastle, I missed somebody, I can't remember. But West Ham on their day, I mean, I hate Moyes, but they've got a decent squad. It's a very, very strong league, and I think it's another situation where you had the season years ago when Leicester won it.
Yeah.
Apart from City, obviously looking sensational and quite formidable, the cloud hanging over them is this investigation. Whatever happens with that, if something was to come of that, then it kind of opens up the league for so many teams. But I think even City, they've lost 2 games in the league already this season.
Yeah.
So anybody can be beaten. And I think there's a possibility if a team has a strong structure and manages to pick up results, top 5 would be a good season for Villa. Champions League football would be an excellent season for us. I also think so much of it is going to come down to this next month coming up to Christmas. For Villa, we'll be able to gauge what Villa season is going to be much more clearly come the end of December, because we're playing. I've got it written down here. We've got you, and we're playing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 games in the next month and 3 days. 2 of them in Europe, but we've got you away, we've got Bournemouth away, then we've got Man City and Arsenal at home, Brentford away, and then we've got Sheffield United home, Man United away, and Burnley at home. Now there are obviously 3 lower teams.
Arsenal as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think I said Arsenal, but yeah, we've got to play Arsenal and Man City both at home, and that'll be a huge sort of marker of where we're at.
Massive.
Yeah, the home form continues for those games, which I don't expect it to, but were it to, then suddenly the league, with us playing you, Man City and Arsenal in the next 4 league games, we'll have a really clear idea of what Villa are about and whether actually we're a 6th, 7th club, 6th, 7th in the table, or whether we're a genuine contender. So I think we'll be able to say with some certainty what Villa are doing come the end of December. But I'm just excited, man. It's so nice to be a Villa fan at the moment and go to Villa Park and feel
I mean,
like you are going to win.
Yeah.
Like I'm 39 years old, and I honestly can't remember a time where it's felt like this to be a Villa.
Yeah.
It's just the best, and I've kind of been envious of other teams who've gone through it over the years, where things pick up. But it's just so exciting, and there's so many good teams. Like it's exciting to see Spurs underrun. It's exciting to see a league that's as competitive. And I just hope City get nailed, and I hope Chelsea get nailed, and then we can all have
that's the thing. I mean, I'm happy for Villa. I think you guys are doing a great job, and I'm really happy for you, Unai Emery. It's just unfortunate that you're going to be playing a depleted Spurs team, and for the lovers of the game, what you want is the best players playing against the best players. And let's just be real. I think you guys will probably have a sour taste in your mouth, even if you beat Tottenham this weekend. You should have a sour taste in your mouth because you're not really playing the real Spurs team. The Madders, the Van der Vens. You want to play against the big names and not bloody Ben Davies and Eric Dyer, because having Ben Davies and Eric Dyer is like having me in defence, and I'm going to do absolutely nothing. Just quickly though, Ben, really wrapping up 2 minutes and review DT. We're seeing all this stuff going on with the FFP, Everton, having 10 points deduction, Chelsea under investigation, Man City under investigation, and then bloody hell, Tottenham got in the mix today with Jermaine Defoe and some dodgy dealings with the agents. Quickly, your thoughts around this, and because for me, FFP is not really. I just feel like there's an elitism thing going on in football. First and foremost, why are we digging up things so long ago? I mean, Jermaine Defoe last kicked the ball for Spurs, 6, 7, 8 years ago? I mean, it's too late now. Do you know what I'm saying? In my personal opinion, why are you bringing this up? Whereas Man City is a real live case. They have bought their way to success. Man City could have been Colchester United, to be honest, in my opinion. And, with the amount of money they've pumped in, that is cheating. 115 charges, and we don't even have a bloody date. Chelsea, again, similar fashion. We don't have a date. But Everton come in and they get slapped. Do you think there's some elitism going on with this FFP? And what is the point of bringing all this crap up? Is this another kind of distraction tactic going on? Because I'm not understanding what they're trying to do with agent fees with Jermaine Defoe. That is so long ago. I mean, he's a bloody coach now for the under 18s now at Spurs. Ben, your thoughts, and then DT.
Well, I'm not on top of the news about the Jermaine Defoe charge, so I need to go away and look into it. But it's, I guess the thing at the moment is, my feeling is the league perhaps setting precedent going forward with some of the bigger charges that are being laid at bigger clubs, and I'm hoping that is the case with Everton's 10-point deduction, which I don't think will actually affect them this season. I think they're only 4 points off Bournemouth in 17th anyway, aren't they? So with the deduction now, and I think they're playing well enough that I think they'll get out of it. So I wonder, I think Everton are very fortunate that is this season, because I think last season they'd go down, next season they'd probably go down with a 10-point deduction. I think they'll get away with it this season because there are just 3 terrible teams in the league. And sort of I wonder whether there's an element of that punishment that is just laying precedent, so that one charge that gets that punishment, Man City with 115 charges against them, if they do manage to wrangle their way through all the lawyers and actually get to a point where they do charge them, because it's the obfuscation that's happening at the moment, isn't it? It's just I think there's some rumor that the City chairman has been like, I'll just spend whatever it takes to keep this out of reaching the point of us getting it.
Just keep it ticking over it. I appeal. Just keep appealing it until
But I think I like to think that this charge on Everton is about laying a precedent in the league that hasn't been set before in the Premier League, and that it then will lead to proper comeuppance for those teams that have really broken serious rules. And I can't imagine that the Spurs one's going to lead to a major punishment. But who knows? I don't know.
Anyhow, Tottenham get sanctioned before City, I'm going to lose my rag, because that's madness. I mean, Jermaine Defoe as opposed to 115 charges. I mean, there's just nothing to discuss in my opinion. And Tottenham's probably one of the only clubs who've probably gone about it the right way. We've built our club up through hard work and the business model to get to where we are. These guys got to where they are because of someone's deep pockets. It's just not bloody fair. And I want financial fair play is about financial fair play. Let us bloody see it by working on Chelsea and Man City. For me, I'm shameless. I'm hearing that if the financial fair play comes in and Man City and Chelsea are stripped of their titles, Tottenham win 2 Carabao Cups and the Premier League. I'll be in the streets. Mate, I'll be doing the Brazilian samba dance, you know what I'm saying, with Joga Bonita. I will take that. I will take them trophies shamelessly. I don't give a damn because these men have cheated their way through. But Dotton, any thoughts on the FFP, Jermaine Defoe, all of that stuff before we wrap up?
Not particularly. It might just be a case of at the moment kind of getting those quick wins, like Ben said, you know, setting that precedent. So the easier things to do, the smaller stuff being dealt with, then it gets to the point where it's like, well, you know, for such smaller charges like Everton, because I think in terms of they weren't even that much over in terms of the limits. So I think they're talking about 20 million. So if we're talking about 20 million and they're getting 10 points, who knows what's going to happen to Man City? So it might just be a case of get those quick wins, dish out some punishments for the ones that are able to accept it, and see where we go with Man City and Chelsea. But I can't really see it getting to that point. There's too much money involved and too much a reputational risk to kind of throw the book at them, as it were. So probably a couple of fines, but I can't see anything major happening. But who knows the future?
Well, I think football in the Premier League is at a pivotal point now. I think if they make the right decisions, the league could grow further and have a stronger grip in terms of football and being the dominating force. But if they get this wrong, then the Premier League could lose its status. And I think we're at a pivotal juncture. What we need to see is fair. If what Ben is saying is right, if Man City, look, let's be real, 115 charges, there is no way one of those things ain't real. You know what I'm saying? So we know they're going to get charged for something. You know what I'm saying? You're just doing the maths and the odds.
Yeah.
And they need to be hit hard. What is fearful for Man City fans, whether they don't want to admit it, is if Everton can get licked 10 points for one charge, mate, then what we're saying times 10, in my opinion. Even if you have 55 charges, that's a lot. Do you get what I'm saying? That's 50 points. And I want to see that level of consistency, that sort of thing. What are you saying, Ben?
I'm saying that I read the other day that if the same punishment was given, if all 115 charges were proven true and they were given a 10-point deduction for each of them, then it takes them back to 0 points all the way into the 2008-2009 season.
Wow.
Like if you minus all of those points, that 10 points from all of those seasons back, they haven't scored points since 2009. So it's pretty huge. Presuming that some of them are like you'd like to think that of 115, some of them are going to stick.
Some of them will. Some of them have to stick for the good of the game, and they don't make any mockery. But Ben, DT, thank you for being with us. Everybody in the chat, thank you for staying with us. We've done over an hour. Please make sure you hit those like buttons. As I've heard other people say, it helps with the algorithms. Yeah, so please hit the likes, please subscribe, hit the notification bell. Ben, DT, let's catch up again on Sunday. I promise you, win, lose, or draw, I will turn up. See if you guys can be available Sunday afternoon after the game for a quick 15-minute wrap-up. Dodger Phillips, The Assembled, Red Bull Vodka, Anthony Herbert, Hair to Dare, AFC Always, They're Assembled, Arsenal Manic, all of the Mandem, and Bear Talk, the Bear Talk, tuning in all the way from Northwest Arkansas. Big up to all of you. Thanks for showing love. See you Sunday, and we are out.
Aston Villa.
Don't know, yeah. Don't know, yeah. Don't know, it's a vibe. Don't know, it's a vibe. it's a vibe. Dano, this juice poured up, and I know it's a vibe. Like rolling with a animal vibe. Dano, yeah. Dano, yeah. Dano, yeah. Dano, it's a vibe. Dano, it's a vibe. Dano, yeah. Dano, it's a vibe.